YouTube, welcome to Grease&Grub and welcome to this 2004 Subaru Impreza WRX Sti. Today we're going to go for a little drive. It's kind of POV style, but I have the camera hooked up to the right front window. The car in question is a 2004 Subaru Impreza WRX Sti. It's a left-hand drive car. We're in Canada. This car is bone stock minus a HKS high flow exhaust. This vehicle was purchased from the original owner, who was 79 years old when this was purchased from him. And it's been maintained. The car is super clean. There's no rust. There's about an inch of rust proofing underneath it. So today, right now, we're gonna go for a little drive. We're in the east coast of Canada, so the weather here is pretty good. A little bit of salt on the ground, but we're sitting at -2 degrees. It's 7 o'clock in the morning. So a little bit of history on the Subaru Impreza WRX Sti. This is a 2004, as I mentioned, and these were the first ones sold in North America as the Sti variant. These cars back then, the numbers are a little bit up and down and whatnot, but keep in mind these weren't far off of what Corvettes were back in 2004. If I'm not mistaken, like the 0 to 60 time is actually better in this than like a Corvette from that era, but I could be wrong. I've owned tons of cars. I've had built STIs with over 700 to the wheels, Cosworth built blocks. I've had fast BMWs, fast Golf Rs. I've had a lot of cars, and this particular car was the reason why I got rid of the cars that in theory the bank owned. And by the bank I mean finance. I bought this car on a whim. This is my car. This is one of my cars, and I've always wanted one of these. I think this is one of the most iconic Subarus that there is, because the generation like myself, I'm 35 years old, I was born in 1989. This car came out when I was like 14, 15 years old, and the majority of people are starting to get into cars around, anywhere between 10 and 14, 15 years old. So right now, this has become a meet your hero scenario for me, and I bought this car and I was like, it's only 300 horsepower, 300 foot-pound-feet of torque. I'm so used to, fast cars, dual clutch transmissions, the shift like lightning. But I started to realize how pure and beautiful driving one of these is. And knowing that you own it, you worked hard. Even if you got yourself, you had to use a line of credit or something. I didn't. I bought it outright. I worked very hard. You could probably pay that off a lot faster than like a bank loan on a vehicle, especially in today's, economic disaster. The interest rate on a car, a used car in Canada anyway, is about, with good credit, 8.9%, 9.9%. That's absolutely ridiculous in my opinion. If you break down what you pay at the end of it all to the bank and interest, it's daylight robbery. And that's one car for one human being. However, I'm not getting into that. But so this car I bought, I started driving it, and I started realizing that at the time I had a Mark 7.5 Golf R, like a stage 2 EQT car. And I started to realize that I didn't want to drive that Golf at all. I wanted to be in this car. I wanted to drive this car more frequently. I had no problem moving the other cars in the driveway just to get this out. The only problem with this car at the time for me is I have 2 children and my car seats were inside of the Golf R. That being said, Golf R is gone. The car seats are in here, and I get to drive this every day. I do have 2 other vehicles that we'll touch on in a later video. But again, going back to that, this car made me want to get rid of a car that in theory the bank owns until you pay it off. It's usually worth nothing after the fact, but and get back into the old school cars and driving. And I'll do a little pull for you here. We're at 3,500 RPM, third gear. That's a stock car. Like I stated, HKS high flow exhaust, because I believe that these are way too quiet from factory. You can barely hear the rumbles. So this video is to kind of go for a little drive with me. I'll talk about a little bit more about the car, and we'll just go and enjoy a little bit of a rip. These cars are becoming very, very hard to find. They're either rotten, built, beat to shit, super high kilometers. This particular one has 150,000 kilometers, which in theory for a now 21-year-old car is actually not bad at all. So when I had the opportunity to buy this, like I said, it was the original owner. He bought it brand new from Subaru. He was a military man. I just couldn't pass it up. I had to jump on it because this is one of those cars that I've wanted for years, and I finally had the opportunity, and it was in the right position in life to purchase it. And I couldn't be happier. It's not the fastest car by any means, especially nowadays, considering like Elantras are coming out with 275, 280 horsepower. But there's something about this car. I'll tell you, it's raw, it's fun, lots of fun going around bends. It's like an event when the turbo spools and kicks in. It's, you know, your typical older JDM stuff where you start getting boosted a little bit higher. So you're waiting, you know, you push the car and you're waiting to get that boost, and a little bit higher RPM and you hit boost. Now, the modern cars are hitting, you know, peak torque, peak horsepower at like 3,000 RPM, 2,500 RPM. But again, as stated, this car does mean a lot to me. I love driving it. I do have two older cars also, they're actually older than this. They're also JDM, but it's winter here. There is some salt down. Those cars are on summer tires, and I rarely take those guys out. Not sure why we are stopped. This is also, if you can see here, this is the auto port here in Nova Scotia. There's brand new Golf R's over here. There's Lamborghinis over there. There's Range Rovers, everything. It's actually pretty cool. It's a fun drive every day to come by here. Yeah, so I do have two other cars. They're both JDM. They're both right-hand drive. They're actually very special cars. They're beautiful. You'll see more on that stuff soon. But again, if you can be in a position in life where you don't have to drive a car that is, in my opinion, owned by the bank or financing, and if you have to, there's nothing wrong with that. But as far as like car enthusiasts, I strongly suggest you try not to be in a position like that, because if you're like me, you like changing cars frequently. And myself, I started to catch on here, like, dealers are robbing you, right? Well, I was trying to trade in the Golf R at the time, and they were listed at like 35,000, 36,000 Canadian dollars, and I was getting offers of $20,000, and my cars are always super clean. I take care of them. I, you know, make sure everything's done. Again, super clean cars, and at the end of the day, there is markup, and I get it. You know, dealers take risks and stuff, but $14,000 is pretty insane. So if you were to go to trade that in on something newer as a car enthusiast, say you wanted the new Golf R, the new Civic Type R, something like that, you're throwing away about, you know, $14,000. But when you're selling a car nowadays, especially, that's a lot of money, I find that people don't have the means to go and buy your Golf R from you for $35,000 plus tax. It's a lot of money. It's close to 40 grand. So when you go to try sell it privately for what it's worth, 33, 34,000, it's going to be very tricky for you. So people end up trading in, and when you trade in, you get robbed. You lose all kinds of money. So if you can buy an older car, if you're a car enthusiast, or even if you're not a car enthusiast, but try to get yourself an older car, have fun, go back. You know, this car has a Kenwood sound system. There's one heated seat. There's 2 cup holders. One cup holder, you can barely fit a small black coffee in there, and the other one's over here right above the radio. I'm not sure if anyone would ever use that, but I don't. There's the biggest adjustment for me in this whole thing is I go like this, trying to adjust the volume, but there's nothing on the steering wheel. That was the hardest adjustment. Besides that, smaller fuel tank, whatever. More fun, absolutely. More raw. The beauty behind a car like this is also people. I see kids, I see people my age, people older, and they're giving me a wave, looking at me. Obviously, all the other Subaru guys and girls do such, but there's excitement with this car. There's an involvement. You know, back then, look at the interior in here. I would love to be able to show you more, but I don't have that much camera equipment, but I can. It's got blue seats, blue flooring, pink STI horn button. This is all fun. This is when automakers were having fun. My other car has like confetti Recaro seats in it. Nowadays it's leather that's not even leather. It's just made to look like leather. All the bolsters all wear and stuff like that. These seats are some of the most comfortable seats I've ever sat in. And nowadays it's all this junk and lane assists and all this stuff that you end up getting used to that stuff. Then when you go drive something older, you're looking for your backup camera and your lane assist. You rely on those systems in order to change lanes. It's terrifying. But if that's what you're into, you do you. Me, I'm into this stuff. I'm gonna try pull up here so we can do a little bit of a video of the actual car. It's a little bit of a hill. Oh yeah, no one's here. So, thanks for coming along for the ride. I'm gonna get out now with the camera, do a little quick walk around of the car. Like I said, this is a stock car, minus a HKS high flow exhaust. Nothing special. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please consider liking, following. There's a lot to come on this channel. I've always wanted to do YouTube. I have a pretty crazy life. I have 2 businesses. I own 3 cars. I have kids. I do Muay Thai. I'm a chef, entrepreneur, and car freak, enthusiast, addicted, terrible. Made terrible choices in my life with cars. However, we're fixing that, and you can too. So I'm gonna release the camera, take it on outside, and give you guys a little view of what this car looks like and what you think. You can leave a comment below. Is this your favorite STI? If you don't like STI, I apologize. Because there's another one I own, and it's likely going to be on this channel quite frequently. Just going to pull this out. Could show you the seats now while I have this, but so here you go. There's some beautiful seats in my opinion. There's my phone down there. Apologies, but this is pretty intense for 21 years old. This car is very clean. 150,000 kilometers, no lights on in the dash. There is a random rear diff temp light flickering, but I know everything's good back there. So we'll take a look at that when the weather's a little bit better. So come on outside with me and we'll take a little look-see at this 2004 Subaru Impreza WRX Sti. 150,000 kilometers. And let me know what you think. It's a little bit dirty, apologies. But here it is. It's got the original BBS wheels, 17-inch. The calipers are absolutely huge on this car. I actually sell JDM parts. I have an import company for JDM parts, and when these are off the car, I have a few sets for sale. They're huge. They're huge, especially from the GC8 era. They're massive. This car has no rust. It's just dirty. So if you see anything, it's dirt. The back, I absolutely love the back of these, although everything on the GDB chassis it's very similar in the back end. In Canada, it just said in big writing here, Subaru. I didn't like that, I pulled that off. I think it's a lot cleaner looking like this. There's my license plate, please don't rob me. I did try get HJZ555, but that was a failure. The exhaust is massive. It looks bigger, a lot of bark, but doesn't have the biggest amount of bite. I think it's absolutely perfect for these cars. It's the JDM Hero looking scenario. Massive wing, no sunroof obviously, but there she is. 2004 Subaru Impreza WRX Sti. One thing to note about these is that the hood scoop is the biggest one on any of them, and it's absolutely wonderful. I'll try bring you in there. If you look through, not sure if you can see there, it's kind of hard, but this is when they put effort in and painted STI on the intercooler. So guys, let me know what you think down in the comments. Is this one of your dream cars? They are becoming dream cars now because they're very hard to obtain. There's not a lot of them out there. And yeah, I absolutely love driving it, especially as a daily car. And yeah, so thanks a lot. Thanks for coming along for the trip. Please consider liking, subscribing. I made a promise to myself in 2025. I'm gonna put a lot more effort into this because I've been told a lot that I'm relatable. A lot of my interests are similar to others, and gonna do this as much as possible. So welcome to Grease and Grub. Grease, cars, grub, food. Gonna be doing a lot of food reviews, some cooking. One of my businesses is food related, my other business is car related. And I appreciate you coming on board. It's a little bit colder than I thought here, but thank you. Until the next one. Thanks.